Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday, October 14th council meeting, the last one for some of us, sadly. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock with the adoption of the agenda. And I don't know if you received your new agendas, but we're moving the minutes from August 11th to 2.1. And then the then the adoption of this meeting will be 2.2. Sorry, that's 4.1. Right, Aya?
Through your worship, it's 3.1.
Okay. Really? Okay. Then my agenda's all wrong. All right. Is there any other additions to this?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'm not sure why it was deleted. I'd like to move the operating budget back onto the agenda.
Okay.
In 2 weeks, there could be 6 new councillors sitting here, and I don't think it's fair to an incoming council to not have at least had this council review it. It's likely the only thing that should have been on today's meeting.
Does everybody have their CAO?
Through your worship, I do not have, the director of finance is not present, someone to go through this budget at this point, and that's why it was removed from the agenda.
That was actually not the,
It was not supposed to be on the agenda. It was a mistake.
yeah, but it wasn't even the correct one.
Correct, yes.
That
So,
was the one that we received in the beginning.
Okay, but the one that was supposed to be at last week's meeting that was canceled is
Yeah.
what should have been on tonight's.
yes, the director is away, through your worship, Deputy Mayor Langford. And then I'm currently working to bring this forward at the next council meeting.
Other than the mayor, you may have a completely new council. Like,
And then,
how's how's that fair to an incoming council?
well, we're going to go through it. Previously, it's my understanding that you adopted an interim budget in March, April. So we are starting early this time, and then they will have an opportunity to ask questions and be a part of it.
Okay, so it remains off the,
We'll ask for a recorded vote on that.
yeah. But it wouldn't have done a deputy mayor, if you looked at the agenda, you would have seen it wasn't even the one that we were given. I know, I hear your pain.
There's been a number of errors in agendas recently, and I assumed that we would have the proper one here tonight. It was only at, 4 o'clock this afternoon that we got an updated.
Can
Again,
I have a recorded vote to another place?
it would be to add it back in, not remove it. It's been removed.
Okay,
So I would move that we add that back to the agenda.
all in favor?
We'll review it.
Those opposed? Carried. So, we might not have it because I removed it from my council package.
Through your worship, I don't even know what version is that, so I won't be able to speak to it or present it.
Whatever version was submitted to council for the October 6th meeting. Perhaps we could ask administration to print copies off before we get to that.
Through your worship, as I explained to council, the director is away, and I'm doing my best to work through this. And I would like to bring reliable numbers for council's consideration at the next council meeting.
So council has moved a motion to bring it back to the agenda, so if we could have administration, please.
Through your worship, yes, but I won't be able to present or answer any questions.
We'll move it under new business. So it will be 11.2. All in favor? Carried. So I'd like to welcome Arnold Gerson, our MP, to the federal government, to the table. Welcome.
Sit in the hot seat here.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you, Mayor and Council. Yeah, I don't know if this has been previous MPs for your area's practice or not, but I find it's been helpful for me to get to know communities is to just book an audience with the town council or county council. Don't expect it to be a regular thing because I represent overlap with about 500 other elected representatives across the northern Alberta. So, but Crystal, I understand you're retiring. It's been a pleasure to get to know you in our passings, even though I didn't represent high level. We fought the Caribou fight together and the
Exactly.
railway fights together and things like that, so I appreciate that. And I just recently learned that you're actually Peace Country royalty, as Sheridan Lawrence was
Oh,
a
yes.
great-grandfather of yours.
Yes,
or
he
so.
was.
Oh yeah, so that's really cool. When I first got elected, my grandmother, every time I went to her house, I would tell her a story about something that I was doing when being elected, and she would turn around. She frequented the secondhand store and just bought every book that interested her there. And so she turned around and she's like, "Oh, Arnold, Peace Country," and she pulls off her shelf Emperor of the Peace, and so she gave that book to me. So that's so I read that, and then just recently found out that you're actually. He's a grandfather of yours of some sort.
Great grandfather, yes.
Great grandfather. So very cool.
Yeah.
It's always cool to reach out and touch history a little bit. So I just finished reading all about Dr. Mary Jackson
Yes.
from Keg River and so all that story as well. So
She's got some really good books.
yeah. I've been as I read one, I find out about other
Yeah.
ones. So I'm almost done all of the connections, but yeah. So that's
And we haven't got much closer since then.
what's that?
We're still trekking through snow and dirt
Yeah.
roads and,
Well, it's not gravel anymore. She makes comments about when the road got paved and how
Yeah.
it was. So, yeah. So I'm excited to be in high level for today. Toured the Tokol Mill today. Met with a couple business owners in the community, and just generally trying to introduce myself. I represented Peace Country on the other side of the river for about 10 years. I'm an auto mechanic by trade, so I got elected back in 2015. I'm a father to 6 children. I'm a husband to Melissa, and we live in a little place called Nerlandia, Alberta.
near Landia.
Blank stares. It's somewhere. It's located between Narnia and Neverland. Yeah, it's kind of a mythical place, just north of Barhead, Alberta.
Oh, yes.
So Barhead's kind of my hometown. Nerlandia is a dot on the map. We boast the largest co-op store in the country, but that's about it. So if you're ever passing through, come check it out. Got a cute little restaurant, and I call it Cabela's North, the largest gun collection in northern Alberta, I think. So if you after firearms, if Trudeau doesn't, or the Carney government doesn't take them all away first, come and purchase your next firearm in Nerlandia, Alberta.
Bigger than Gordy's collection?
Oh, we're giving him a run. No, I'd say I don't represent Gordy, so I can say this. Ours is bigger. Yeah. So yeah, the riding of Peace River Westlock is kind of an eclectic mix. I say to everybody that asks, I say I represent northern Alberta, and they say which part. I say all of it, except for Grand Prairie and Fort Mac. And that is about the truth. Beyond that, we do forestry, farming, and fracking, the 3 Fs. And since the Liberals got elected, it's kind of all effed.
Yeah.
So we're working hard to change that. And hopefully, we thought for sure we had this election in the bag, but hopefully comes around again. The good news is Mark Carney's like plagiarizing our platform aggressively. I did not have on my bingo card Mark Carney fighting for the Keystone XL pipeline, which he has been doing. So despite him not approving pipelines to the west coast, that is, we thought that was gonna come out through his major projects initiative, but that hasn't happened, but we've been pushing him hard on that. Gloriously, they got rid of the carbon tax after we campaigned against it for years. And we turned the public against it, and then the Liberals did the right thing on that, for sure, so I continue to push on that. Continue to push against the production cap, the oil production cap that the Liberal government has put in place. And recently, I think we had a bit of a win on the electric car mandate. I don't know how many folks in high level own an electric car, but getting around northern Alberta in an electric car is a bit challenging. And the Liberal government had mandated by 2030 that we'd all be driving electric cars. So now they said they've paused it for a review. So we'll see what comes out of that review. But yeah, nonetheless, we are making wins on our policy platform. We're just not the government yet at this point. And while they're saying the right things, it isn't necessarily leading to action in the ways that we want. So we'll continue to push on that. Question period is quite a bit different under Mark Carney than it was under Trudeau. I think Trudeau liked question period a lot more than Mark Carney does. They like the cut and thrust a little bit more. So we'll continue to push on the government on those respects. Yeah, we just last week, we were really pushing them on the softwood lumber. He went down and had lunch with Donald Trump, and we're like, what did we get out of it? Particularly softwood lumber is a big thing for northern Alberta in particular. And since Mark Carney's come in place, we've only seen an increase in the tariffs on softwood lumber and our canola products as well. So everyone always wants to know about the firearm situation in Canada right now. The Carney government is rolling out a pilot project in Cape Breton. Now, I know a few Cape Bretoners, and I can't imagine that this is going to be very popular over there as well. But interestingly, it's the Minister of Public Safety's brother-in-law who's gotten the contract to go collect all the firearms. So I don't know if he doesn't like his brother-in-law or if it's an inside deal. One way or the other, it's kind of interesting. So, yeah. After that, Crystal, I'm happy to take any questions and just maybe some introductions on your side would be
Sure.
helpful. I don't know. It seems a little awkward given this is probably your last meeting altogether, but
Yeah, it is.
nonetheless,
So we'll start on my right.
Hi, Boyd Langford, currently Deputy Mayor. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming to High Level.
okay.
Good to see an MP who knows where we are.
Oh, yeah?
Although Chris used to be up here on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mark Lebron. I'm councillor. It's nice to meet you.
Are you reoffering?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Jan Welke, councillor, outgoing. I am retiring from politics
Good luck with that.
now. Yeah, but 6 years in, a by-election first, and then another term. So
Okay.
time for a break. But nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Josh Lambert, also a councillor. Nice to meet you again. I think we met a few months ago when you were campaigning.
Perfect. Yeah.
Brent Anderson, I'm also a councillor, obviously.
Yeah.
And I'm re-upping as to run for mayor.
Run for mayor. Okay. Anybody else running for mayor? Josh as well. How does it work here? If you run for mayor, you can't run for council?
Yeah, the deputy mayor tried to change that a few years ago, but
That's the Reeve system, right? That's
Yeah.
a different system. Right? Can you do that as a town?
you
Do the
can,
Reeve?
but you have to do it so many months before the election.
Okay. Interesting. Cool.
Might have to, I mean, it took us, we had to go into a second sitting to get enough people to run for council, so,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
And is that continuing to be a problem?
No, we had some like 6 or 7, 8 step up to the plate.
Okay. Okay, very cool.
First time in my 41 years that that's ever happened,
That you have lots stepping up.
yeah.
I think there's generally a more, like a heightened awareness of politics in the last number of years. That's my take on it. So,
Yeah,
any questions?
any
Comments,
questions
concerns,
for Arnold?
fashion critiques?
I just about
I have.
didn't recognize you.
Yeah, oh yeah. I got new glasses. It's really controversial.
I have one.
Yeah.
What's a conservative government gonna do with, or try to go after the liberal government to increase the green grant or the green loan that's finished?
The green loan that's finished.
It's terminated.
Okay.
All the
was
money's
it?
been out.
What is it funding? I think
It was.
their green slush fund. We're very
No, no,
opposed to that. one.
funding for new furnaces, new,
Oh yeah.
that type
yeah.
of stuff. Solar panels.
Yeah. That's like the Green Homes Initiative. Do you know anybody that got funding through that?
Not yet.
Yeah.
I have applied.
Yeah. I don't know anybody who's got any
I thought
funding.
that was an Alberta thing.
Yeah. No, it's a federal program, but it's,
Buy through Alberta.
yeah, I'm generally not excited about it. I don't recommend it to anybody. Basically what they do is they stick this fancy fan in the door of your house. They do a pre-test. The whole testing process of it costs you $1,000. And then you go and spend your money getting your windows and your insulation updated. And then the percentage that you've increased the efficiency of your home is the percentage of the payback that you get. So I've know people that have paid $7,000, $10,000 and got a $450 check back through the program. It feels like a big bait and switch to me. Now, we're generally opposed to more spending, but I would point back to when Stephen Harper was a prime minister and we had our like Building Canada initiative. We just picked on things that were well known. So if you were updating your windows, if you're putting in LED lights, we just gave tax credits. We had a list of things. If you're doing this to your house, you get a tax credit for doing it, and it was wildly successful. Like you didn't have to get tested on the front end and on the back end. You didn't have to hire a consultant to get it done. It was no brainer. You're updating the windows in your house. There was a tax credit that it came with that. You're updating your lighting, tax credit, updating your furnace, a tax credit. The other thing that it did really well, that was in the like fallout after 2008, worked fairly well, was it brought a lot of like gray market, like lots of the stuff, replacing the windows on your house, putting new siding on your house, that kind of stuff. Lots of cash jobs, lots of brother-in-laws giving you a hand on it. Suddenly that turned it all from like gray market stuff into receipted stuff so that you could get your tax receipt. And it was a pretty good win for the economy as well. So I don't know where that particular program is at if it's still funded or not. I don't know of anybody, I haven't heard of anybody in my riding actually getting it because there's nobody to do the consultation. So you have to get the front end and the back end consultation done. And there's nobody in Northern Alberta that's certified to do that consultation. So I haven't heard of anybody getting it. If you apply, they'll still say, yep, you've been approved. Please go spend your $1,000 to get the consultation done. And the whole system's been very frustrating for me. So that's what I know about it, and what the Conservative government's, if and when there's a Conservative government, I think we'd do it a lot differently. So thanks for the question. Did I answer it?
Not particularly well, but, because I have.
I did talk for a while.
I did apply, and you're not quite right how the system works, but I haven't had any money yet either, so.
Okay,
But there is an outfit that does come up here to do the inspections.
okay. Good to hear.
Deputy Mayor?
So if your party formed the government, what would your position be on the species at risk and the caribou and opening up the land to development and recognizing that wildfire is probably the biggest disturbance, and studies have shown that the caribou go back into those areas because there's lots of luscious things that grow after a wildfire?
Yeah, our party doesn't have a specific position on that, so I can tell you what mine is. And mine is that resource management is entirely a provincial thing. Now, fortunately, Quebec is coming up against the same thing, and very recently they've been making this case as well. I think if the provinces were to start to make the case that resource management is 100% a provincial jurisdiction, things like the Species at Risk Act should not exist. My personal opinion on it is that we should just repeal the whole act because it's a provincial jurisdiction. I don't know if that's my party's position on it.
I agree with your characterization. When the NDP government was newly elected and this was a hot issue, I had asked them in the British North American Act, the separation between the feds and the province, all the province had to do was introduce their own species at risk act.
To supersede
And
it.
it would have been paramount their legislation, and I was told that wasn't part of their agenda, so they weren't doing it. But they've since adopted a bunch of stuff from the federal government. They've entered into the agreement. So thankful to hear what your position would be, and I would hope that you would carry that forward to cabinet if and when you were elected
Yeah,
as the government.
yeah. So,
There was an interesting biologist at AFPA, Steve Wilson, and he's a registered professional biologist, and he actually said that the caribou thrive in burned out areas, and the burnt out areas are where they're actually thriving and not in other areas.
okay.
So, I mean, that's what Northwest SAR has been fighting
Yeah.
the whole time, was they keep taking more and more area because of the burn, and there's science out there that,
The burn is actually positive for them. Yeah. Yep. We've been through this fight, so I hope it. I hope some logic comes to, because it's the death warrant for places like Zama and Rainbow Lake for sure, and it's hard on the rest of us. And it's clear across the constituency. So. High level is particularly affected, but Whitecourt is just as wired to 220 on this as you guys are. So
so what are you gonna do about the tariffs
yeah, that's a good one.
on the softwood lumber? Like, that's gonna cripple so many of the towns in the north.
Yeah, it's all out of our hands at this point, right? I think we would have conservatives would just react differently to a whole bunch of things. We probably wouldn't have recognized Gazan statehood. I don't think we would have made annoyances towards the Americans in the same way the Liberals do. So that would have been helpful. We have some pretty tight relationships with the Republicans in that respect. So Jamil Javani, a member of Parliament for our side, is best friends with J.D. Vance. They text each other regularly, so we have good connections there. Many of the conservatives, I think there are more returning conservative MPs than there are returning liberal MPs. So our caucus is probably has more connections to the United States than there's 75 brand new liberal MPs and 40 brand new conservative MPs right now. So that would be, but those are all completely hypotheticals, and yeah, it's frustrating to be so close and yet have no ability to actually control any of that. So, but yeah, first order of business is do no harm, and it's been frustrating to watch. The Prime Minister, on the one hand, Carney really likes having Trudeau there or Trump there because he can run against him, right? And so he runs against him because it's popular at home, but then on the same time, then we end up with increasing tariffs and things like that. So yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, well, we don't know what bothers Trump.
No, that's true.
It changes from minute to minute.
Yeah.
Could be the Blue Jays beating the Yankees.
Yeah. Well, one can only hope,
Any other question? Oh, go ahead.
When it comes to the national interests such as tariffs, I would hope that partisan politics doesn't play a role, and that the PC party or Conservative Party would use their connections with Mr. Vance or whoever to try and work in all of our interests and not have it be a liberal conservative type of a thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's, the flip side is just as important. It's not necessarily that our connections are even recognized, right? Like there is sometimes you watch and you get frustrated because you watch Carney make a move because it is positive for domestic politics. The Palestinian recognition, for example, is 11 seats in this country makes quite a difference, and yet it like frustrates our relationship with the Americans. So yeah, that's not it's a fair point, but we've also wished that was necessarily reciprocated in the other. And you watch, for domestic politics, we watch our prime minister make other decisions. It's really frustrating. So.
Anybody else? Well, thank you, Arnold. Have a
Thank you.
safe trip home,
And you have a blessed retirement?
and maybe I'll see you in Ottawa next week.
Yeah? Next week. What's going on there? You're coming?
Yeah,
Okay, I will be there next week, so look me up.
okay, I'll do that. I'll be there on the 21st.
Sounds like a plan. That's the Monday, 21st?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. I should be awake by Tuesday. I fly through the night on Mondays, so
Oh,
it's
do
always
you?
a little rough on Mondays, but we'll get through. So
I'm
good.
going to
Well-
FPAC.
okay, sounds good. Well, thank you very much for your time. Looks like you got a busy schedule ahead of you tonight, so appreciate being on the front end, and yeah, I look forward to some of you returning. So,
Yes,
all right.
thank you for coming.
All right, no problem at all.
Yes. Up front, council. You and I in our hoodies in the mail. Thank you again.
There we go, another picture here. All right. Presence of royalty.
Yeah,
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
just remember that when we're
to
fighting
meet ya.
for things.
Yeah? Perfect. Put it on the internet somewhere, or you send it to me?
You got it from the museum?
Okay. Nice to meet you, sir. Take care.
Good night. So, we'll move to the adoption of minutes. Is there any errors on the September 22nd regular council? If not, can I have someone move to adopt?
We need to move
Pardon me?
August 11th first.
I got my agenda all mixed up here. August 11th. Deputy Mayor, is there anything wrong with them?
Not that I recall. Originally, there were some questions that I believe had been removed. I think the email we got said that some of the suggestions were incorrect, so.
Can I have someone move them? Councillor Lebrion, all in favor? Carried. Moving on to the September 22nd. Could I have a motion to move if there's no questions?
I'll move as presented.
Councillor Anderson, thank you. All in favor? Carried. We don't need to move Arnold's visit. Now, my report, I mailed it off to you guys late. Did you have a chance to look at it? So I did attend AFPA and it was very interesting. It was their 83rd back in Jasper. I went to this particular Steve Wilson's. It was very interesting. Then I met with Minister Sawney, who is the Indigenous minister, and we discussed the issues that many of the businesses in High Level are facing with not being able to collect their disaster recovery funding. And she offered to help, to speak with the particular nations and to also go to her federal counterparts. It's really dismal. I went to 6 businesses and it's $6 million. And there's approximately 30 more businesses that I didn't get a chance to speak with. So many of them are just hanging on by their toenails. The CRA meeting that we held, it was with the whole membership, and yeah, it was with the election coming. There isn't much happening. So once the election is over, they're going to look at going to Ottawa and having a Ottawa Hill Day. The other thing is FCM, the council may want to be aware of, it's in Edmonton this year. It would be a good opportunity for this council, as many members, to go as possible and meet with federal people like Arnold and other MPs, and probably a lot of the ministers from the Alberta government will be there as well. So on August 8, we did have a airport task force meeting. We approved the terms of reference in principle. We identified the core air service, which are frequency, reliability, and pricing. It was confirmed that the task force reports directly to the Council of High Level. And we looked at expanding membership to industry, because the task force felt that even though it was based on medical, the industry has suffered because their consultants and people cannot get here as well. So the primary concerns are cancelizations. We talked about that, unreliable scheduling, high ticket costs, community impacts with medical specialists having to come to here and having their schedules disrupted, which means a whole, like the day of the meeting, it was calm, cool, and the airplane never come. There was a specialist, a pediatrician coming. He had to reschedule 200 patients. So it's very disturbing that this is happening to our community. And if it continues, we're going to lose these consultants and specialists, and people are going to have to go further for medical care. I put the action list there, and the next meeting is November 12th at this council's pleasure. Next council's pleasure. On October 9th, CRA met with Minister Scow, who is the Minister of Jobs and Economy, Trade and Immigration. We discussed our advocacy with CRA and what our pillars of concern were. And we also discussed how Canada's reputation is not very good in the world because of the bottlenecks at the ports. He actually told us he was on a trade mission to Dubai, and an executive from DeWorld Shipping, which is one of the largest shipping companies in the world, told him that he had a real problem with his ports in Canada. So he is aware that we have these problems. We discussed some solutions like short lines and inter-switching to clear that bottleneck. He said he would discuss both with Cabinet and his counterparts in federal government. We also discussed making rail an essential service. So CN can't, and Pacific Western can't strike like the teachers. Anyways, the next meeting was this morning. It was just a debrief about the meeting with Minister Scow and Julianne Thrillfall, who I've been trying to get a hold of since our meeting in June, and she's usually really quick in responding, but she hasn't, to figure out what CN is spending in maintenance here in our area and upgrades, which I know is none, but I still want to keep pounding the fact that we need to upgrade our rail. And that's my report, my final report. Do I do a mic drop? Over and out. Is there any questions? Can I have someone move my report then, please?
I'll move the mayor's report.
Thank you, Councillor Welke. All in favor? Carried. Council committees, Deputy Mayor.
September 27th, I attended the NAIL meeting in Grand Prairie. The morning was spent as the true NAIL meeting, and the afternoon was supposed to be a meeting between NAIL members and municipal members from northern BC, northeastern BC. Apparently it was right after their municipal conference, so none of them were able to make it, but we had a number of interesting presentations. Travis Tays is now a consultant for Grand Prairie on Invest GP, and looks like they have some big upcoming projects down in that area. It would be nice to have someone sort of beating the bandwagon for us up here. There was some discussions about fair electrical distribution. There's supposed to be something announced here. We were given a good presentation by the city of Grand Prairie, but apparently it's just for, it's not ready for public consumption yet, but they are working on that. October the 6th, attended Northwest Species at Risk meeting, sort of to follow up on some of the conversation we had here with the MP. We are looking at redeploying all of our cameras, and we're hopefully looking at sort of a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year wildfire burn area, sort of cutting it kitty corner diagonally to just place these out randomly to use up, or in an equal spacing, to try and get some actual data on the ground. Turns out that all of the federal collaring data really hasn't been followed up on. They're not sure whether the collars dropped off, whether the animals passed away. There's been no follow-up, so our data may be sort of the only data that's available going forward. And then on October the 8th, at a high-level community policing society meeting.
That's interesting. It'll be interesting to see if the caribou really do live in the burn. Well, they might die there too because of the wolves.
Okay, but some of the information that we have, like I said to Mr. Vierson, is that it really does appear that they go back into these large wildfire burns, which is the 100% the opposite of what the biologists have said, because of all of the things that pop up after there's been a major wildfire. That are things that it turns out the woodland caribou really like eating. So
One of the things is Morales mushrooms.
okay, but you know, lots of things come out of a wildfire. There's hopefully a silver lining to every cloud, and maybe that's one of them. So it'll be good to get that data.
This biologist also spoke about how they were told that, you know, they did a study on lichens. That's all that the caribou liked. That's why they were in the boreal forest. But they fed them clover, and they were just munching away on this alfalfa and clover. And so, yeah, so anyways, glad you're on that committee. Any questions for Deputy Mayor? Thank you. Councillor Anderson.
October 1st, I attended the High Level Golden Range Society meeting. They have a couple events coming up, Fall Supper on October 25th, and they have an ongoing silent auction that goes until the 22nd of, well, I think it goes till the October 25th at the Fall Supper, but it started September 22nd.
What day is that open? Because they don't have their auction items out right now.
They do have them back out now. They had them down yesterday? No, on the
Election.
on the election day. They had them down. But I think they're back up now and until the 20th, and on the 20th they'll be back down again for that day.
So people can go in.
So the people, and it's open to the public, it's not just open to senior citizens, it's open to all the public to come in and put your bids on the items, and they've got a super amount of items, some very nice items that have been donated by the businesses and the people of this community, so well worth a look. And then on October 8th, I also attended the Airport Task Force meeting, and I will reiterate the same thing that the mayor says, that we need to look seriously at our air service into High Level. We definitely do not want to lose it. And there are some things that the task force are looking at doing to, I guess, make it more presentable to the airlines that are in here, and find out some of the issues that they have coming in here. And that's all I have to report on.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson. Any questions? No? Councillor Lambert.
On September 25th, I attended a startup meeting with Ready in regards to the regional product branding, which we had started last month. So just working with a consultant on setting up a proper brand, and yeah, excited to get that going. October 8th, also attended the Reliable Air Access Task Force meeting. Although I can reiterate what the mayor and Councillor Anderson has said, I do think it was not necessarily productive yet, but I definitely think it's necessary, and it's very encouraging to see. And hopefully that, you know, considering the rest of what's in the council package here, we can move forward with it. But that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Councillor Welke. Oh, Lebron. I always skip one.
I have, on September 25th, I had the High Level Library Board meeting. And then today I had I'm not sure if it was the OHS or Alberta Health and Safety audit interview as the member of council for the town. And then just before this meeting, I was at the opening night for the Banners of Remembrance over at the curling rink there, which is open till 8. So 15 more minutes. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Is that opening with the new banners?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, the 2 new banners. The 2 new banners are up there, so tomorrow I believe everything heads over to the library for the general public. So if you're interested, please pop on by and see them. The ladies did a great job reordering our Legion items. So if anybody, something that we didn't have at the Get to Know You night, it's all been replenished. So stop on by the museum.
Thank you. The museum.
Yeah, that's where it is.
Okay. Councillor Welke.
September 25th, I attended the official first Regional Advisory Committee health meeting here in High Level. It was hosted here, so we had our facilitators from Alberta Health. One came up and one was online. We only have 6 members in our region, so it was a basic first meeting. The first year is a short year because I believe February is the new start of the health year where they're organizing these initiatives. So we're going to work towards a few kind of short-term goals for this committee. There's still room for a lot of members. I think I said we only had 6, but I believe it's 14 or 16 allowed for this region. So if anybody is interested in participating in this, there is a kind of a vetting process and an interview process with the Ministry of Health, with Alberta Health, but anybody could contact me and I could put them in touch with the right people if there are people that come forward that are interested in this. I also believe that this committee encouraged municipal involvement, but it wasn't an actual requirement. So I will be staying on with them, and whether or not the town wants to look into, having a member of council on this committee, could contact me to see if some participation could be had. I believe it's going to be a lot more productive than the previous similar committees under Alberta Health Services that were in the past. So it would be a good thing for municipalities to participate in with regards to keeping in touch with health and Alberta Health. Also on the 25th, I attended the FASD sunroom grand opening. So the building's officially open, and there's a lot of programming with their kids programming that's happening there already. But now we'll be looking at utilizing that space on a rental capacity for other outside groups and things as well. So it's a very nice space. And that's another committee that was concerned that I might not be available, but I am going to stay on with FASD as a community member, and the town would then again have to look for the representation with the new council. The next day, September 26th, another FASD event, the Red Shoes Rock Award luncheon, and this is kind of an annual award to a local contributor to the FASD Society here, and it went to Kevin, and I'm with the Independent. I'm failing to remember his last name, but the proprietor of the Independent grocery store was a recipient this year, as a fantastic supporter of the society. And on October 8th, I also attended the first Reliable Air Transport Task Force meeting, and echoing the others that were there as well. It was a great start. I think we were missing a few people that we'd like to have there, but I think the right people were there, and that it feels like it can be and will be very productive, and definitely a high priority for our region to solve this problem of reliable air transport. So, and that's all I have to report.
So do you think this committee would have any sway? I don't know if Alberta Health Services
They were there, yeah.
know about the air and the amenities that it brings to this region with specialists coming in, and I don't know, just a thought. Seems you're on that health task force.
I mean, it's definitely something that.
We should have the same health care as people in Edmonton.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. There's definitely some overlap in need there, and the Regional Advisory Committee would be sort of an avenue to the Alberta Health, straight to the ministry with regards to these concerns. So I can definitely bring any concerns or information from that task force to the Regional Health Advisory Committee. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Can I have someone move council reports, please? Councillor Lambert, thank you. The minutes. What? All in favor? Carried. Minutes of the Committee of Whole. Deputy Mayor?
Resolution numbers 031-25 and 032-25. I believe both those were carried, but it doesn't indicate that.
All in favor with amendments? Oh, did you move on? All in favor with amendments? Carried. So my request for FCM, didn't I present that at the last meeting?
Through your worship, yes, you did, but you requested that we bring it back.
Yes.
Yeah,
And?
and there, here it is.
And did you get into the website with the passwords and contacts that I gave you?
Through your worship, can you please give me some, get to what website, sorry?
Into City Plus, I gave them to both. Citywide, I mean.
Your worship, I reached out to both those emails and haven't had any response from either of those parties.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, could we move this? I don't know why I asked for it to come back. I don't recall that, but.
I'll move that administration bring this back with a further update. Perhaps the first council meeting in November.
Through your worship, what exactly update that we have access to the program? Is that what council wishes to know?
We want to know what we had access to this program. Every director was given a password, right? Do you have access to it?
To Citywide?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can go on there and see what data's been inputted?
Yes, I can.
Jenna?
Yes, I can as well. I can't, like, I can put in service requests, but as far as any other information, I don't know how to access that information, but I do know how to access the website.
Okay. So I guess my questions were, what data was supposed to be inputted? And why that, I mean, like, I was wondering why we were stacking up on this grant when we had the money to put information in there already.
Through your worship, there is no information in there that is usable in this system currently.
There's no updated
I-
sheet files or,
Yeah, and I will reach out to, you've mentioned the previous planning director, Haley, when I have a chance and have a conversation with her, because I believe that she gave some explanation about how the project went. So I'll get more information and report back to council. I'll put it on the next agenda.
Okay, but we have reporting requirements for the grant, correct? Like, we have to update them with what we spent the funds on.
Through your worship, this grant is already being received and reported on.
Can council get the final report then?
I believe it's attached in this agenda. It's the information I received from FCM. I produced it at the committee of the whole meeting, and then I believe it's attached to the council agenda this evening.
so this grant is done.
Through your worship, yes, that's correct.
Well, this isn't much of a,
But this report doesn't
Report.
tell us anything.
no.
Through your worship, that's why I've been saying that I have a hard time getting information, because those are the sort of things that I'm working with.
Well, maybe you can enlighten us, Keith, as you were part of this. Was this an asset management plan that was to input data on roads and sewer and everything else?
Yes. So, Madam Mayor, council adopted the asset management strategy
Right.
in 22, I think it was. The director of development, Haley, Gavin, myself, as well as some of the senior administrative team, collected a lot of asset materials, vehicles, facility data, and some of those things. They are in the asset management system. So that the plan happens at the end once all the data is collected. So you use the asset management to start building plans. So currently we're working on a few studies, wastewater study, trails and a few of those studies. All of that data will be uploaded into Citywide, which is our storage unit, and where you can access it and compare things. I think the current issue is the administrator of the program was Haley. So in order to get administrative access, you would have to have her pass a password. We all have the ability to do the maintenance side, the service request, work orders, but we don't all have the access to upload the new data. So that has to be set up through the system, and then additional data or changes, that'll be given out to certain directors at that time. When we initially set it up, we have a phased approach, and the data went through one controller, so we made, and that was Haley, to make sure what was uploaded to PSD for the Citywide software was correct and in the unit format, they call it. We are continuing to develop data, and our next phase would be to upload all these new layers. But there is a significant amount of data in there regarding our assets. We're continuing to improve upon it. So the next phase is to coordinate that.
Well, okay, so that's, because Haley did provide me with the names and emails of these people that were our manager and ours. I can't find it right now. But that information, like, she did provide it, so I'm surprised that we can't get a hold of them. Anyways, moving on. So Deputy Mayor made a motion, restate it, please.
Directing administration to report back to council with an update, the first council meeting in November.
All in favor? Carried. CAO report.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. I believe you reviewed my report, and I welcome any questions.
Council, you have any questions?
Do we know when the Director of Finance will be back?
Not at this point. I can give some more information at the in-camera session.
And then have we had any further updates from the auditor?
We were in contact with the auditor, and they're doing some work right now for us while we were trying to reconcile the deferred revenue and grants. Yes, we are in touch with the auditors.
But no update on when it may be done?
We're hoping to get the audit done before the end of the year, but with some staff capacity issues, we're doing the best we can.
So, he told me that he had all the data that he needed, and I said, okay, we'll see the audit at the end of August. And here it is, October.
Through your worship, I can give more of an update in an in-camera session.
Councillor Lambert.
In regards to staff capacities, have we had any luck with any hiring of any senior positions or any other vacant?
Through your worship, I will be reviewing with HR some resumes tomorrow. So the recruiting is ongoing.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the CAO report? Could I have a move for information, please? Councillor LeBrun. All in favor? Carried. Administrative inquiries.
Through your worship, I will turn it over to Daphne Thompson.
Good evening, Council. I was so glad to be here, and I welcome any kind of question. Just as a recap, the task force that was is committed on, I think it was October 8th. Great initiative, great on Council. Proper procedure just needs to be followed. In the resolution where the task force was formed, there was no directive stated on where the terms of references would be appointed. Therefore, it rests with council. So even though the terms of reference was approved in principle at the meeting, that meeting was technically then only according to procedure for information purposes. And as this is still part of the caretaker period before elections, it is best practices not to make any final decisions that will bind a new council. Lastly, any task force will be, what is the right word, no longer valid by election date. It is then up to the new council to decide if they want to take this up or not.
So, I'm very annoyed over this because I asked for this task force to be formed in June, the end of June. We got the terms of reference on July 14th. The council here went over that terms of reference and they made some adjustments. We never got anything back from administration. This task force, this air reliability, has been kicked down the road for a year, and it's very important to the community, and it is of a priority to council to say that it would be canceled for the next is ludicrous. Council committees can be kept at the will of the council.
100% correct.
So now, I appreciate your, in maintaining your administrative structure, but it's important to clarify that this task force was a council committee, and it was to be operating under council's direction and authority. And perhaps we should have stepped in a little sooner, because the MGA that was quoted there, sections 145 and 192, are silent on the fact that these committees have to pass through the CAO. There's nothing in there that says.
No, that's not what the report says, and you are absolutely correct on that. It does not have to pass through the.
Well, that's what the new terms say. I'm just reading what you wrote here, and section 9.1 does correctly state that a committee must function under a terms of reference, and we were functioning under the principles, and the CAO emailed me. You may have got the TikTok version of our conversation, but she contacted me and asked us for our terms of reference so that she could put it on the council report. And it never appeared on the council report. I have the email right here.
That is all.
So what was the purpose of sending me? So that she could tell us that we couldn't have this task force, that this resolution wasn't passed? Like I'm relying on my notes, and I revised the terms of reference from what I remember, and it was being brought to council today to be ratified.
Then it goes back to the caretaker procedure, which is best practices.
There is no caretaker, like we.
It is a best practices,
Well,
so that
maybe
the new
best
council.
practices, but this council has never quit its council committees, because they continue till the day that it might be best practices from wherever you're from, but,
No, this is from Alberta.
well,
But
I'm telling you, in this region, we all continue our committees.
just as an example, Councillor Welker said that he will not be continuing, therefore,
Yeah, because he's retired,
100%. But that is what it happens during elections. When an election happens, the committees basically stand still. This is being dissolved until the new council is being formed, and then the new council, no matter who they are, can decide to take it up again or not.
the people on it might leave, but the committee doesn't get dissolved.
But therefore, the new council or new committee members, but this is a task force, it's a subcommittee under that.
And it has stakeholders that were strategically picked because of their knowledge.
I'm not doubting that, Your Honor. Your Worship, very well so. The terms of references, because there is no record of that.
Well, where is the terms of reference at the task force?
That is now the recommendation from administration to rather keep it till the next council meeting when the new council is appointed.
But council makes the decision, not the administration.
True?
So I brought the task force terms of reference. And I will bring them to council right now for a resolution so that this committee continues, not at the will of a new council, but as a council committee. Because it is very important for this region. And I do not want to see it kicked down the road another year by administration.
I don't think that's the intention, Your Worship.
Well, it's been so far. And to me, it seems like this committee does not want to share, or the administration does not want to share the information that a town employee, which by the MGA can be appointed to the committee, in which he was, he cannot share information with the task force. That is tying the hands of the task force.
Again, Your Worship, I don't think that's what the intention was. It is that council has, the practice is that council has one employee, which is the CAO, and everything that is directed to staff needs to go through the CAO.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does, Your
Council
Honor.
committee does not have to go through the CAO.
It does.
I know what we are.
So I've been an elected official for 22 years. I've never heard of a caretaker period. It's council's obligation to continue to have meetings, to pass resolutions, to follow the budget right up to election day. That it doesn't get suspended when an election is called. And I agree with 100% with the mayor that almost every committee that council sits on does not go through administration. In all of my time, I've never seen administration at a READY meeting, at an NWSAR meeting, at Mackenzie Regional Waste Management Commission. Like, I've sat on hundreds of committees over the years, and council is asked to appoint someone to a committee, and that council person sits there, reports back to council. It doesn't all flow through administration. So this is no different, and I agree with the mayor, and I haven't been involved in this particular committee, but 4 months from when we specifically asked that this be struck until we get some report back, the fact that they went ahead and had a meeting, this is such an important issue that Alberta Health is spending however many millions of dollars on an addition to our hospital to allow more specialists to serve the residents of our region. And if the doctor can't get here, that's all been a massive waste of money. So this isn't something that can just get pushed along because administration doesn't have time to do it. This is an important issue that council set. And I believe it was completely appropriate that they went ahead and had a meeting.
May I then suggest, if council is open to it, to have a legal opinion regarding this? It is just a procedural discrepancy here. It's not about the
I think we've
intention.
spent enough on legalities.
Okay.
I think that council can approve these terms of reference. They don't have to wait till the next. That doesn't mean that those people remain on there, but the terms of reference are there so that this committee can go forward and doesn't have to be kicked down the road due to legalities after the election. I don't know.
As mentioned, it was only a procedural point of view that wasn't properly followed. So it is still the recommendation of administration to, when requests are being made directly to staff, that it goes through the CAO.
We weren't making direction to staff. He
That-
was on the original terms of reference.
Unfortunately, I
council-
can't speak to that.
Well, I know you can't. He was on the original terms of reference as the point of contact. He's the expert. Why wouldn't he be on there? And the MGA says that council can appoint employees. The CAO has the day-to-day discussions with staff, but she doesn't mandate, or he doesn't mandate what they do after hours. And council can appoint that. That's in the MGA, and it's in our procedural bylaw.
Best practices would just be to have the conversation so that there's no conflict of interest.
We would never expect him to give information that is confidential, and there is a confidentiality clause in this terms of reference.
But yes, it is the
Well, we
prerogative
only
of
have one,
council
so you gotta
to
share
approve.
it.
No.
Oh, are you wanting to speak? Go ahead. Councillor Anderson.
I don't understand why council sitting here tonight cannot approve the terms of reference.
In practice,
And if that is done, then there's no reason why the committee doesn't then continue. If after the election there is new members that come on board, I don't see why that has to bring the whole task force back into having to be revoted on or whatever to reinstitute the task force. If there's terms of references there and the task force has been struck, it's just then a matter of who may or may not be there that was there today.
true, but that is, again, the prerogative of the new council.
It's the prerogative of this council sitting here right now.
And new council does have the option to continue or not.
That's their choice, but if we do our due diligence right now, and then they choose at the later date to scrap the task force, we've done our due diligence to keep this task force running. So as long as we have the terms of reference here that we can review, I don't see any reason why we can't pass a motion to have them accepted and the task force continues.
I feel that this is a control thing. And because the employee was there, that this became an issue. And if you look at your procedural bylaw, it says that the council may appoint by resolution councillors, town employees, and other individuals to council committees. When a council committee is established, it has to have a name, it has to have a terms of reference, it has to have an establishment of a term, and it has to have regulations for reporting to council, which this task force does.
There was no dispute on that. The dispute is procedurally that the terms of reference were not being approved by council before the meeting.
Approved now.
But this is after the meeting.
Yes, but we didn't have them. They did not give them to us after council went through the original terms of reference and made changes. I know that the CAO says she sent them, but they never arrived to any of us. And this, we had already talked to all these people. We were going to have a meeting. We picked a date that everybody could be there. They were informed that the terms of reference were not ratified, and they would go up to council as per our minutes to council today's meeting to be ratified. And we're still sitting as a council, so we can still pass things.
Again, that's no dispute on that. We're just advising on best practices.
Okay, well, best practices, if we decide not to follow them, take
And
it
it is
to
also
legal.
your prerogative.
Yes, it is.
Again, no dispute on any of that.
Councillor Lambert.
I just wanted to clarify, just in regards to direction to administration or town staff, if there was zero direction as a task force, it's collective agreement when it comes to any type of action item that's on the list. So just to clarify that on there.
Yeah, we never directed him to do anything. So, council, I have a motion to accept these terms of reference.
Well, just gonna say, obviously you're new to the town, but council has seen the original draft, had made recommendations, and so I think the expectation is that at the following meeting, the revised terms of reference would have been back. So that should have happened in July. For whatever reason, it did not. So an incoming council within certain bounds can do whatever they want. But hopefully they follow some of the wisdom and experience of the previous council, especially on an important item like this for the region, and we'll carry on. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Only one person at this table is guaranteed to be back here in 2 weeks. So who knows what will happen, but just like my ask to have the budget put on here, there's gotta be some guidance and direction for a potentially completely new incoming council. So yes, I would move the terms of reference.
All in favor? Carried.
Just council, it was a pleasure to meet you tonight. I need to excuse myself for now, but I will see you at the next 2 weeks' meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the manufactured development permits.
Through your worship, I would turn it over to Jane.
Good evening, your worship, members of council.
Good evening.
Good evening. It feels very late. I apologize for the dark room that I'm sitting in. I'm also having some internet connectivity issues. So if I'm stalling out or you can't hear me, please let me know and I'll just turn my video off. This evening, we have some information for you as per your request and as a result of some complaints that were received by administration related to manufactured homes that were received approved development permits recently. We looked into the history of how manufactured home development permits have been processed and what permits have been issued over the last 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 5 years, to try and have a better understanding of what the historic practice has been and why, and have a little bit of information to share with council about those trends. To better inform, I think, a couple of requests for decision that we'd like you to consider relating to the land use bylaw and how manufactured homes are regulated, and also how notices provided for development permits that are issued for either discretionary use permits. So discretionary uses are uses identified in your land use bylaw that can be approved or not approved based on whether or not they're appropriate in the location and on the site that they're proposed. And then additionally, when a variance is granted. Yep.
So I need to understand, because I know this bylaw, I need to understand where the $5,000 came in and where mobile homes could be constructed on site when the bylaw simply states that it cannot happen.
No, both of those are good questions. So I'll start with the second one and then go back to the first one, because just in terms of timeline, I think the first thing happened first. So I agree, when we were looking back through the land use bylaw to try and figure out when the land use bylaw was amended to include the provision that required manufactured homes to either have a manufacture date of 10 years or newer, or to have an appraisal report which indicated that they'd been improved essentially, so that their manufactured home date was the equivalent of 10 years or newer.
And that
That
I do
appears to
not have a
occurred.
problem with. What I have a problem is, where did this
Yeah.
5,000, because 5,000 certainly won't help us abate or remove a trailer from a trailer park. I want to know where the 5,000 is quoted in here, and I want to know where it states that they can construct it on site, because it says it has to arrive completed. So who
Right.
changed
So,
it?
so your development officer's practice for the last 5 years at least, and we only went back 5 years because that's when the change to the land use bylaw appears to have occurred,
Right,
has been to vary that provision. So it doesn't say that you can. It says that the improvements are supposed to have been done prior to the manufactured home arriving and landing on the site. But since 2021, almost every single permit that's been issued has granted a variance to that provision to allow them to land first and then for the renovations to take place. And they're supposed to have, as I understand it, and I have to say to council that, you know, we're doing our best pulling from records in historic files, because none of the people that made those decisions at that time are employed by the town now. So we're just trying to pull through the available written documentation to figure this out.
well, there
But
are,
it appears
there
as
are
though,
some that are signed off by our current CAO that are now. And
yes,
data, just because previous people have done it, doesn't make it right. And the bylaw is supposed to set the standards. And variances
Well, there
aren't
was
supposed to
no-
be the norm. And this bylaw
That is a
sets the
valid point.
standards, so I'm wondering where the heck all this came from. And just because previous people screwed it up, does that mean we continue to do it? Like, I drove through that place today, and there's like 6 trailers there that look like they have not been fixed up. They look like they come in from the ghetto.
2 points just to address those comments is one, that I think there's likely more than 6, just looking at what the statistics are over the last 5 years. And then the second is that there has been no procedural error. So I just want to clarify that the variance power that the Development Authority exercised over the last 5 years, they had the authority to exercise. We can't speak to why, because we don't know why. That was the direction that the development officer, you know, from 2021, and then until we arrived and were informed that this is the approach that we were also supposed to take with the recommendations, we can't speak to why. We don't know. There is no documentation in the records that indicates why, when it was apparent that there appeared to be a concern with that regulation, that wasn't brought back to council. So normal practice would be to go to council with with information and a briefing note and request that council consider a change to the bylaw. So I don't know why that didn't occur. In our opinion, professionally, that's what should have occurred.
Okay, so let's fast forward. Let's forget past practices. We're in 2024. I'm supposing you and the CAO are the 2 people approving these. So why was this 46-year-old trailer approved?
So 2025, in 2025, there were 3 development permits for manufactured homes that exceeded the 20-year date. And that was the direction that was taken because that's the direction that we were told to take by the previous director of planning. And he also, I think, had identified that there were some concerns with the previous practice, and that's where the $5,000 came from. So when we received the first development permit application for a manufactured home that exceeded the 20-year date, we identified that as a conflict with the bylaw, and we were directed that the town's practice was to vary that provision, and that in order to ensure that the renovations were completed, that a condition should be applied that required a deposit of $5,000 that would be held until the renovations were completed within that 1 year. And if the renovations were not completed within that 1 year time period, the $5,000 was to be used to remove the manufactured home. So you'll note that the The only development permits that include those conditions are the development permits that were issued by, or the recommendation was made by our office this year, and that condition was applied.
To this 46-year-old trailer that's sitting on?
That is correct. That's correct, yeah.
So what was applied to that? So
So there's
we
two
allowed it to
conditions
sit
to
there? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so there was two conditions that were issued along with that permit. And one of them was that all of the renovations identified in the appraisal report, which was provided by the landowner, be completed within 1 year of the manufactured home landing on the property. And the second condition was that they provide a $5,000 deposit to guarantee that those renovations were complete, with the understanding that the $5,000 will be used to remove the manufactured home if the renovations are not complete within the time frame identified in the permit.
So why would we continue that practice? Like, you could have put a stop to it.
We were informed that this was the way that the town wanted to proceed with these types of
By
permits.
whom?
So we did, by
Huh?
the previous manager of planning, by the previous manager of planning. We have the email correspondence because we flagged this too as problematic.
Well, but if you know it's contravening bylaws, do you continue this practice?
I don't do anything that results in a procedural conflict with the land use bylaw. There is no procedural conflict. The Development Authority has the ability to vary a provision in the land use bylaw, and that's what you've done out in 16 out of, what is it? In almost every single permit that's been issued for manufactured homes since 2021.
That's what we're fixing tonight.
Yeah, well, tonight it's gonna be fixed.
I mean, I'm not.
Yes, so I guess, sorry.
Sorry, I'm not going to talk about the past. We've already touched on it. My concern right now is moving forward. So this trailer that's 57 years old, I mean, it quite obviously isn't going to meet that 20-year window, right? Has any stop work permits or anything been issued to this development to date? Because from my understanding, like I drove through there today and it looks like it's still currently being like worked on. So is anything being done to correct this? Because we're gonna have more people moving trailers in there. So like we've already set this precedence with the people living in there that were quite wishy-washy with it, right? Some of them are being approved through variance previously and now other ones are not. It's hard for people to, choose to invest in that trailer park unless they know it's, solidly this is our stance. So I hope that this tonight will clear that up, but I would like to see something done about that trailer that's 57 years old in there. That style of a structure with the hoop roof on a manufactured home, those things aren't meant to be load bearing, those walls. So they couldn't change it to a peaked roof without some major engineering changes. So it's getting to a point where, they're going to be $150,000 into a $40,000 trailer that's non-mortgageable. Right, so that will become the town's problem in the future. Right.
So the requirement in the land use bylaw right now is that they submit with the application for the manufactured home a report from an appraiser that indicates what renovations would be required in order for the manufactured home to have a date of manufactured, that is essentially 10 years old.
Well,
and they did do
those
that.
engineering,
they did provide that.
the
appraiser's
engineering stuff
report,
that we
and they
saw
have-
in our last meeting stated that after the renovations, it would be brought up to 1984, I believe it was, which is well older than 20 years.
The appraisal report that was submitted with the application indicated what they needed to do. Yeah, 20 years to have an appraised value of no greater than 20 years from the date of placement. So based on the information from the appraisal report, it can be done. And they indicated that they were willing to do it.
To bring it up to an age of 2005, because the report that we saw stated after renovations it would be 1984 equivalent.
I'm not sure what report you're referring to.
You guys remember what I'm talking about, right? Okay.
Yeah, and I just had more information sent to me on it tonight, as well as, well, two people sent information. And it's very alarming to hear that our administration is telling them that town's best practices supersede the bylaw. Like, that is not right. Council did not know anything about any of these trailers and what development was doing. And then to hear that,
over the last 5 years.
like, I'm not,
Yeah, that became very apparent. Yeah. So we understand that that is the situation now that this has been brought to our attention as well. So it's all we can do is change the practice going forward. We understand that, you know, council approved that amendment in 2021 and it was done for a reason. So I can't speak to why there was a shift in administratively in 2021 right after that amendment was approved. It doesn't make sense to me.
and it also states that, adjacent owners are to be contacted. And an email went to a person stating that they don't have to be notified. So,
They don't. I'm not sure where that information is coming from. The land use bylaw does not require notification of adjacent property owners of development permits for discretionary uses or when variances are granted.
well, it's in your next report on page 48, it says it does.
We're recommending that be changed because I actually think that's an even bigger problem with the existing land use bylaw. The difficulty with the way the notification requirements are in your land use bylaw right now is that if I were an adjacent property owner and I had a right of appeal, but I wasn't receiving notice of situations or permits that were issued that I had the right to appeal, I wouldn't, in my opinion, properly be able to exercise my appeal right. And I think this likely would have come forward earlier if the adjacent landowners had been had been notified in a different way that a development permit had been issued with a variance, because they would have known, the mail would have come to their house. But your land use bylaw only requires notification of permits on your social media and on your website. And I think it's really challenging for anybody to follow that and know what's going on and then have appropriate amounts of notice to appeal a development that they were opposed to. So that's one of the recommendations that we brought forward for council's consideration. And it wouldn't just apply to manufactured homes. It would apply in any situation where a development permit has been issued for discretionary use because adjacent landowners or anyone who believes they've been adversely impacted by the permit can appeal that, or in situations where a variance to a provision in the land use bylaw has been granted, because that has the larger and broader appeal right too, and adjacent landowners should be directly notified of those decisions.
Exactly. I just assumed that we always notified. I guess I assumed wrong. But going forward, we're too late for a even a subdivision development board appeal, right?
That's correct. Yep. So this one, the only thing that we can do is watch to make sure that those conditions are satisfied. And if in a year they're not, then the manufactured home will have to be removed.
Well,
That's the only enforcement we can take related to this one. In a year, if they haven't complied with the conditions, it can be removed.
What about the bond? Did they post the bond?
If they don't undertake the renovations, then you can use the bond to remove the
No, but
manufactured
have
home.
they posted it already?
They have provided the bond.
Madam Mayor?
Yes. Oh, sorry, Deputy.
Sorry, just on that last point. When they signed off, they've provided the $5,000, but on what authority would we have to remove that? Like, there may be a secured party, others with an interest in the property. It just legally, I'm not sure how we would pull that off.
Yeah, well, that's I think you absolutely can. It's just like any other type of infraction with the land use bylaw, non-compliance matter is your enforcement what you can do for enforcement is the same regardless of what it is, right? You do a warning letter and then you can issue a tag or ticket. And then ultimately, if the contravention isn't remedied, then you can issue a stop order and require that whatever action is necessary to address the non-compliance issue, it be taken. So in a situation like this, right, where we're talking about someone's home, which we are ultimately, right? You would want to go through the courts to get a court order to remove the manufactured home, but this is how this would occur.
The $5,000 isn't gonna cover any of that.
No, it's not going to cover the legal. No, agreed.
So the only avenue we have is to wait a year and see if they're in compliance.
Yes. At the moment, they're not contravening the conditions on the permit. They paid the $5,000 and they've indicated that they're beginning renovations.
When was the permit, what date was the permit approved? Or when
It
did
was in
the
May.
clock start ticking?
It's already, in May.
When it landed. So that was that in September? It'd be September, I believe.
Right, thank you.
Well, it's extremely disappointing. It's no wonder nobody trusts the town. We have emails from very disgruntled landowners. I don't know, I feel bad for both of them, but I feel that the town made the mistake and that it should somehow be rectified, that this needs to change. If we're gonna, we gotta at least recover the money that it would cost to remove these facilities, and they should be fixed up before they land, not fixed up when they land.
Yes, and anticipating that would be council's direction. There's a couple of RFDs in the package for your consideration. And there's one thing that you could do that it's even a step further than the existing recommendation in the first of the RFDs, and that would be to amend the variance provisions in the land use bylaw to state specifically that no variances to that provision can be granted. And that is that's even more binding on your development officer, is if the variance provision is constricted to say that this provision will not be varied, then there's no opportunity for variance to be granted. And because there is a history here of council having made a decision to amend the land use bylaw, and then the development officer from 2021 on taking a different approach, that might be something you want to consider, is to tightening up what can be varied so that it's very clear for future development officers that this is not something that council would like to have varied.
Right. Council?
Just in regards to some of the other properties on that list, dating back to 2021, so quite a few of them were granted that same variance, right, having 1 year to do their upgrades. I know just driving through a few of them on that list have, but also looking at them, quite a few of them have not. So what enforcement are we going to take? Because some of them that were approved in, say, 2022, that's been well more than a year. So are we going to take action on non-compliance?
I think that is a question that we need to ask council, is how do you want administration to pursue enforcement going back to 2021? Because as we were looking through the files, just trying to figure out the history of, I'm quite confident that once those development permits were issued, there wasn't follow-up being taken in order to ensure that the conditions were complied with. So I think that we may find that there are many manufactured homes where they did not, or they were unable to comply with the conditions. And you'll note that the conditions that were issued were not consistent. Like starting in 2021, the wording of the conditions talks about requiring them to provide evidence that they, of their Z240 standard or their CSA seal approval. And there's some correspondence in that first file that indicates that they were unable to do that. And I think it would have required quite significant renovations to the unit, including engineered drawings. And then when that came to light, that there's no follow-up in the file that indicates whether or not the applicant was informed that they needed to do that or that the town would take enforcement action. So it is possible that if we start to take enforcement on those older permits that were issued, we'll find that there are many that did not comply.
So
Okay.
that may be our message.
Is there a point when our messaging in the variances kind of became consistent? That we could say from this point, 2022, this point forward, any of the permits that were issued, you know, we're coming to take a look because we need to verify the compliance was met.
2025, when we started doing it.
Oh, lovely.
I'm sorry.
Well, you said you have
Yeah,
16,
they're very
right?
different.
You have 16 from your
Yeah,
dad.
and there's 3 that it would be easy to track, but they're the 3 that were issued in 2025 because we reworked the conditions to make them more enforceable.
And the others, the conditions are not actionable?
They're actionable, but they're going to be more challenging. They're going to be more challenging. And I think that it's worth noting that once we go down this road, which we'll certainly do if that's what council directs, as we discussed earlier, like if they cannot comply with those conditions and you want to proceed with enforcement, there's probably a number of permits that you will end up in front of the courts seeking a stop order to remove the units. Like that's where it goes, right?
Well, we could send them a letter first.
Absolutely, yeah.
What do you want to do, council? Deputy
Sorry.
Mayor?
So despite there not necessarily being any follow-up by the town, the onus is on the applicant to prove that the work has been done, correct?
Correct.
So they should have been reporting to the town, so we're not necessarily negligent on that aspect. They have an obligation to fulfill the terms of their development permit and to report back,
They do.
or a stop order could be issued at any time.
That is correct, yeah.
So what's council's wish? Oh, sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, perhaps for all of the properties that we're talking about here, the town could ask for the appraisal, just as a follow-up. Like it just happens to be later than the 1 year mark, but we could ask for that appraisal for compliance with their permit. That's all we're asking for. And that would cause these property owners to review their permit and get that appraisal done. And, you know, then it would be their own discovery that they're not compliant. But that's all we're asking for. So it would be, you know, less of a confrontational approach. We just want these appraisals now. And that's when, you know, then they would have to realize that they may be in trouble. That's just a suggestion.
We could start with something like that and then report back to council with what the status is once we have a better idea of where those are at, and then seek further direction from council regarding what you'd like the next steps to be. Would that
I think you need to tighten.
be helpful? I just,
variances as well.
Well, we do need to make changes, absolutely. But in dealing with these existing properties, like the deputy mayor said, it was their responsibility to just get it done. So we could just say, okay, we're asking for those appraisals now. Like, we can go and see that they're not compliant, but to actually, that would have been the requirement, would be for them to provide proof that the renovations comply with the permit. And the only way to do that is with that type of appraisal, is it not? It's not just us driving around saying, yeah, that looks like it's, you know, a 20-year-old trailer now. What was the requirement to basically prove that the renovations are sufficient?
So with the older permits, they weren't required to provide an appraisal, and the condition that was applied was that they provide a copy of a valid CSA label. Because some of them landed without even having a CSA label, so we don't know what code that they were constructed to originally.
Okay, so that
And
assessment for a
my-
CSA label then?
Yeah, which is really hard to get retroactively and generally does require engineer drawings to be provided to your building and safety codes
Pretty
officer.
wild variance
And
to just
my
ignore CSA.
what my gut feeling is the reason that the land use bylaw was amended when it was amended is that it was proving too costly for people to get the engineered drawings to get the up-to-date CSA label. And so it was actually downgraded a little bit to this appraisal report, but the appraisal report doesn't really tell us whether or not they meet code. So there's all sorts of things that have happened, you know, that don't make sense to me, but I see them as the town responding to a situation where affordable housing is a problem, it's a challenge, and trying to be reasonable to ensure that you have a housed community. But all of these safeguards are like, they're very difficult, and I don't think it's the right solution yet.
Counselor Lebrion.
I was just going to move the recommendation, number 1, with what Councillor Welke said, that we provide a letter to the property owners with these open variances, requesting some information from them.
Okay.
Take it from there, I guess.
And with the person that has the 50-year-old trailer or whatever it is, my math isn't very good. Could we say they cannot have occupancy unless their conditions are met? Why?
The condition might say that. I believe it says that, but let me double check that, your worship, and report back. And I think it does say that because we were quite concerned about the possibility of somebody moving into one of these units without completing the renovations, and then the town being in a situation where you had to take enforcement action, recognizing that that would make the enforcement action that much more difficult.
Okay.
Just for clarification for myself, is it okay if in the letter what we are requesting is confirmation that they've complied with the conditions of their permit, and then we'll provide them with a copy of the conditions, because the conditions are different. So if I ask for a single thing, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I think that works.
Yeah, I like that, yep.
Some of them might not have conditions, though, you said?
They all have conditions.
Okay.
They're just, some of them are a little bit more
Oh, I thought you said some did.
open-ended.
And so moving forward, where are we going to discuss tightening these variances? The next, what? Okay.
So there's two recommendations. One of them relates specifically to the manufactured home issue. The other one is adjacent to it. The first one, the recommendation was that council consider first reading of a land use bylaw amendment
Oh, I need to accept this resolution first.
Sorry.
All in favor? Carried. All right.
So on the next one, before you get too far into it, we've got lots of ground to cover. I think we've sort of covered all of this. I'm prepared to move first reading of the bylaw amendment and ask that the public hearing be set for the second council meeting in November.
Any discussion, council? All in favor? Carried.
And then there's that second one that relates to notification for adjacent landowners for variance provisions and discretionary use permits.
Someone prepared to move that? No?
Isn't that all part of the? Isn't that all part of the amended bylaw?
They are part of the same bylaw, just two different RFDs. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
I'll move first read.
They are. They're part of the same one. I apologize. I'm making it worse.
So they were all the same.
Two RFDs, one bylaw.
I normally make those mistakes, so I thought it was mine again.
Apologies, council. Okay, so that's the direction I need, and that helps us. We will proceed to schedule the public hearing for that bylaw amendment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't think you're done yet.
Nope, I got one more.
Solar
This one is
collectors.
so. This one's wild. So something not being quite right with your land use bylaw regulations as they relate to alternate energy and solar collectors came up over the summer with one property. We had a development permit for solar panels on the roof of a commercial building, and we were looking at it and we were trying to figure out how the land use bylaw was supposed to address them. And we had hoped that what the idea was that it was identified and defined, but then not included in a use that was identified as permitted or discretionary in any of the districts, so that we didn't have to issue development permits for them and they could just be. Because some municipalities handle roof-mounted solar collectors that way. However, when we received 18 more development permit requests for roof-mounted solar collectors, we looked at it again. And unfortunately, solar collectors are also included in the definition of alternate energy technology. And alternate energy technology is identified as a use in some of your districts. So because they're defined and contemplated in the land use bylaw and then listed in some districts as permitted or discretionary, I can't argue, I think successfully, that we don't need to issue permits for them. We're supposed to. So we're trying to quickly address this. I think that in the new year, we probably need to bring back to council a more comprehensive amendment to your alternate energy technology provisions, because they're not clear enough. But so that these poor folks who are trying to install solar collectors on their roofs, which is not a very complicated development permit request, so that we can approve those permits, we have to add that use class to the districts where their homes are. And so that's what's being brought forward to council now, is an amendment to the land use bylaw to include solar collectors in the residential districts and commercial districts, where it was previously not included at all, one way or another. I think it's an error in a definition, but the safest way to fix this is to add it, and to add an additional definition that clarifies that there's a difference between a solar collector and a solar farm. So if there was an even easier way to do it, we'd have done it. But I think we need to make sure that we're not including as a permitted use in every single district solar farms, because I put a Band-Aid on too fast for you.
That was gonna be my question, like I didn't know what a collector was. So how many of these panels would be on a roof? Say
The one I was.
1,000 square feet? No, 1,500.
It doesn't work that way.
No.
Well, yeah, it does.
Actually, I've applied for a permit or in the process of applying for a permit to put solar collectors on my roof. My whole roof is not covered with solar panels. Only a portion of it is. So you could put one up, or you could put up as many as it fit in your roof, on your roof. I think in my case, I'm 30 some maybe.
And how big are they?
They're,
Like the TV?
yes, 2x4 or
Maybe that TV?
4x6 or something. It's, they're not huge, but they put them in sequence. So every roof would be different, and it's all different depending on how your house sits with the sunlight.
Yeah, like on my house, it's only gonna be 2 faces of the house. It wouldn't be,
So how high would these be?
They're 2 inches off your house.
2 inches?
Yeah, it just looks like.
It looks like the roof of your house, only it's not shingles, it's black and it's a solar panel.
Yeah,
Oh, I just,
my neighbor has them and you don't even notice them.
I'm prepared to provide first reading for the amendment as proposed.
okay. Any other discussion?
Pardon?
We need to set a public hearing date as well.
November.
I was gonna say the same as the last one, so that we can kind of keep them together.
Second council meeting in November.
Yeah,
Thank you, council.
all in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You as well. Good night.
Good night. So the next one is vehicle equipment and life cycle management.
Lifestyle.
Through your worship, I will turn it over to John Greathead.
Good evening.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. I'm here just to, I reviewed our vehicle equipment lifecycle management policy, and I find that it's could use some refreshing. So the recommendation is that council rescind policy 173-99, vehicle and equipment replacement, and adopt policy 28125, vehicle and equipment lifecycle management, revised in 2025 to take effect immediately. Background is the 1999 policy relied on fixed replacement cycles, for example, every 5 to 8 years, leading on premature asset turnover and waste. Modern small town fleet management relies on condition-based assessment to determine replacement timing, ensuring maximum value of every unit. The revised policy introduces condition scoring, repair versus replace analysis, life cycle cost tracking, and reserve-funded replacements to create a more sustainable, evidence-based fleet management approach. So why I'm here is asking council to rescind the 1999 vehicle policy and replace it with a newer and more modernized. On the second page of the RFD, the key improvements would include condition-based replacement criteria, replacing fixed timelines, life cycle benchmarks reflecting Northern Alberta municipal realities, standardized evaluation matrix for replacement decisions, integrated financial planning for predictable reserve funding, environmental stewardship and reduction of waste through refurbishment and resale. So I've included a few examples of some comparative municipalities and how they deal with their vehicle replacement. And the strategic plan alignment, first is operational excellence. It improves asset reliability and efficiency. Fiscal responsibility, ensuring long-term sustainability of capital reserves, and environmental stewardship, reduces waste and embodied carbon from premature replacements. Financial, this is actually a good financial option. It will, we're just off the top, we're looking at reducing approximately 15 to 25% over the next decade on vehicle spending. And I've included the existing policy as well as the updated proposed policy 28125. And I'm available for any questions.
Questions, council? Deputy Mayor.
So I have no problem with the new policy. Despite what the old policy said, in my experience on council, I think administration has been very diligent about reviewing vehicles, and I can't recall any situations where this policy has just sort of slavishly been followed, where vehicles have been replaced just because they're 5 years old. I think Public Works and mechanics have done a great job about keeping our fleet. I think some of our grass crew vehicles, the old airport trucks, like some of them have been around for 15 plus years. So, you know, I don't, obviously, we need to update a bunch of policies, but, and again, I have no problem with the new one, but, you know, I don't think this is something that's gonna suddenly save us 15 or 20% on our budget because we haven't been following that policy in any event. Unless you have specific examples, but we've kept a lot of the equipment running way past its service date. Should have been here last year and saw the vehicle that we used to water our flowers with, which was the chassis off a former street sweeper, I think, that was maybe 30 years old. So we certainly got our usefulness out of that.
Anybody else? I have no problem changing I mean, it is 1999, I guess we should update it. I can't believe though that we keep our mowers 15 years. Those little tractors.
After 15 years, I'm sure they've
15
been rebuilt
years,
a few
right.
times in place.
Anybody else? Okay. Could I have a motion, please?
I'll move the recommendation.
Okay, Deputy Mayor moves the recommendation. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Does anybody else need a 10-minute break? Or you want to keep going? Yeah, I'm good now. All right, moving on to the budget.
How are we kicking this off?
I don't know, the deputy mayor's gonna lead it, I guess.
I'm sure we all have questions. I'm not sure if everyone brought their materials.
I didn't
from
bring my questions.
before. And I can certainly appreciate that the CFO isn't here, but as it says in the report, you and the CFO had met with all of the directors or lead hands in the departments to go through the budget. And, you know, the one question that was sort of top of my mind overall across every department, or all but one, I guess, was the statement that there'd been a reliance on transfer from reserves. Any transfer from reserves requires a resolution of council. I don't recall us passing any resolutions where we've transferred reserves to a specific department unless there was some emergent issue that had come up, you know, the boiler at the swimming pool or a condenser at the arena where there had been a one-time transfer from general reserves. But it's never been a budgetary position of the town to do transfers from reserves on an ongoing basis. So I'm just really surprised to see that in the budget because I don't think that reflects the status quo. I didn't keep my budget binder that we went through last year, but I certainly don't recall any ongoing transfers from reserves that would have been reflected in the 2025 budget that was adopted. So I just, like, are we looking at a different accounting standard? Are we, like, why the big change from previous budgets?
Through your worship, the 2025 budget was a copy and paste of the previous budget because we did not have enough time to do any work with that budget. So that's what we brought forward. And that's what historically, when we're looking back, is what is showing that some departments were utilizing transfers from reserve on a yearly basis. I don't know if it was a copy and paste that just stayed there and then it wasn't removed from the budget. And those are some of the areas that I'm looking into right now and try to understand why, because this is not a normal practice. And as the deputy mayor mentioned, it's only under special circumstances.
Okay, but last year we brought in a consultant specifically for the budget, and nowhere do I recall being told that it was a copy and paste. It was a brand new system. We were going through department reviews. And again, I don't recall, setting something out in a budget where we're funding a department like recreation, no disrespect to the director, because there's never enough revenue in recreation to fund the department. So all of that's funded through taxation or other grants or whatever. But I don't think we would ever characterize that as a transfer from reserves. So I'm baffled and am looking for an explanation. I know that you've had challenges since you've been here. It's been a year for sure, but especially in an election cycle, this is not fair to ask any incoming council to pick this up and try and make any sense of it. And because we have two current councillors running for mayor, they may be the only ones on the new council. Like, the town's been put in a huge, difficult situation is probably the best way that I can describe it, by the budget process that we followed this year. And the continued lack of responses to questions, I'm just baffled.
Yeah, through your worship, as explained to council, I do have some capacity issues that I can discuss further in an in-camera session. And then as I brought forward, when I was hired, I was told that the finances and the financials will be done shortly after I started working here. And then, this is an unpleasant surprise for you as it is for me as well. And then again, I am doing the best I can with what I have right now and trying to fix some of the things that I'm finding that perhaps shouldn't, happen.
Okay, but we just got an unqualified 2023 audit. That turned out it wasn't all doom and gloom, that the town was actually in a pretty good place.
Through your worship, the unqualified audit was due to a lot of the work we've done to turn it around and then gather information and do some collection of monies and things, because there was also some spending that occurred without council resolution. And so we were able to recoup some of those funds and put it back into the bank account. And that's what we're continuing to do for 2024. So as you, council can appreciate, working back several years with limited documentation and trying to put this puzzle together takes time. And we're doing the best we can.
I'm not trying to negate any of the work that's been done since you've been here, and I certainly appreciate that, as do I think does all of council, but it's just, I wish that we had had the meeting last week, even if the CFO wasn't gonna be here, so that council would have had an opportunity to address these issues, so that maybe some of the answers could have been provided tonight. So I guess the recommendation going forward to the incoming council is, when a meeting is set, the meeting continues regardless of whether there may be a participant, even though it's an important participant, not there, because council has such a limited opportunity to ask questions, to express concerns, to allow you to get follow-up information. And every administration has a different practice and policy, and I've been beyond frustrated with our budget process. And for the most part, in what we were presented, it's difficult for me to make heads or tails of where the department is. And I'm not sure how council is supposed to make a decision. So I'm just looking to try and get some answers.
And through your worship, thank you for your feedback. I share the same frustration with the deputy mayor. And as I said, I'm trying to bring reliable numbers to council, and I'm working on this. And at the next council meeting, we'll hopefully be able to provide some answers. You can email me all your questions that you don't have here now. I'll compile them and then respond.
The difficulty at this point with that is that there may only be one of us, you won't be able to take any of that direction because some of us will no longer be councillors.
Through your worship, yes, but the feedback is valid. And then again, I just want to reiterate that I started this budget process a lot sooner than the town's practice was in the past. So the town was approving interim budgets in April, May, and then I try to push this to start early so we could review these things. But unfortunately, we ran into some challenges that I'm working on overcoming right now. And then I'll bring this forward for council's consideration at the next council meeting.
I guess my big question was, are these grants realistic if we don't have an audit and we're not getting our grants?
Through your worship, what do you mean realistic?
Well, if we're not getting the money like you said.
Through your worship, yes. The province will release the money as soon as we submit our audited financial statements, the outstanding audited financial statements.
But that's 2 years of so we're still waiting for 2 years of revenue.
That is correct.
Sorry, just to address your one comment. The 2025 interim budget that we passed in March was the first time in my municipal time on any council that an interim budget was not passed before the end of December. Because otherwise, the town can't operate. We're all reading in the news that there's a shutdown of the US government. Why? Because the legislation hasn't been approved to allow them to spend the money. They have the money, they just can't spend it. Last year was an anomaly because of the change in administration and all the rest. But the town has to have an interim budget passed before December 31st, or come January 1st, the town can't operate. You can't pay staff. You can't, there is no budget authorizing you as the CAO to continue those functions. So the process has to be completed. And I don't envy any incoming councillor being put in this position. I don't think any councillor who's ever sat on any council after they've been there for even a couple of years would say that they were in a position to review and pass a budget when they're first elected to council.
Through your worship, and that's why my administration is proposing that we start the budget process in May. I'm trying to put these timelines and create a cyclical calendar moving forward so we have more than enough time to review everything. Unfortunately, due to some of capacity issues and other issues that council is aware of, I was unable to achieve that this year, but we will do that for next year.
Okay, but last year we also approved a 3-year operating budget, did we not? Which we're now required to do.
Yes, we are required to adopt a budget yearly, present a 3-year budget and then adopt it yearly, yes.
So of the numbers that have been included here, how much of this is from the 2026, which would have been year 2 of the 3-year budget that we reviewed last year?
Through your worship, the directors provided the numbers that the director of finance worked with based on their needs to run the departments and then after the review. So I have to go and look back. Right now, I cannot answer this question. And at the next council meeting, I'll be able to provide more information.
Hopefully someone's here to ask the question.
Oh, I just have a general comment too for these budget charts. If I could put in a request, I think when I was originally reviewing this, I found some examples, but now not feeling like it was going to be spoken about. I failed to find my specific examples, but I think that it, like, if I could put in a request to, like, add the extra column of, like a note, when the directors are plugging in numbers on all these tiny categories, it would be helpful, I think, if there was, say, a set percentage variance, because some of them jump out at you, and then we go through these meetings and we go line by line and say, oh, how come this one, the expense budget went up, 100%, and then we get the answer, and then we move on to the next one. When the directors are creating these numbers, I'm sure during that process, they have some notes as to why that change was made, and I'm saying it doesn't have to be a note on every single budget line, because some of them are obvious. If our expenses went up for office supplies, well, it makes sense that we increase the budget a little bit for that line. But some of them, we'll all look at them and say, why is that? Or maybe some of us missed them, and some of them will get missed and we just don't know. But if there was that extra column of just why this major change was there, then it would, I think, cut down on the analysis time in council to nitpick all these little lines, and then we can get council could get just a better idea of the bigger picture when some of those are there. So that would be that extra column of notes that are probably already there, like when these were submitted to you. There may have been discussions as to why do you feel you need to do that in your department, that sort of thing. So just a little bit of extra context for major changes. And you could set a threshold percentage. Hey, if you're going to be recommending change of this much in a particular category, that we have the note, something just for, then everyone here that's reviewing it, can see some of those and maybe not have all the questions.
Through your worship, yes, thank you for your feedback. That's a great suggestion. What percentage of a threshold would you like to see?
I don't know. I guess does anybody have any ideas for that? Like, you could say, like, greater than 50% change. Does that sound reasonable, or?
I would think it would be less than that.
Okay.
So I don't think you can give.
Greater than
20%?
20?
Oh, it would depend on the dollar amount. Like, if you're talking about a budget item that's $500,000 as
Right.
opposed to something that's $1,000, I would think that any variance within plus or minus 5% is worth a comment. And we used to get those in every budget. Like, that's been a feature of every budget I've seen from the town prior to last year, is that explanation was always there.
Was present during
Yeah.
individual
was-
analysis, yeah.
Sometimes they were highlighted in yellow, whatever, everyone had their own way of doing it, but yeah, council needs to have that information. You can't make a decision in a vacuum. Just, no disrespect to John, he's gone, but just like when we were talking about the vehicle replacement policy, it's one thing to say, yeah, this change could have a 15 to 20% impact, but give us examples, because I don't think there's 15 to 20% out there, because we didn't follow that policy anyway. In terms of just automatically buying a new pickup truck because it was 5 years old and had 200,000 kilometers on it. So there needs to be backup and justification for any statement that's sort of made that has a budgetary impact.
Through your worship, yes. And then I can provide some information in camera.
Like other people, I had a whole bunch of questions prepared that are not here with me. There's one thing that I noticed seemed to be kind of a consistency through this report, is the under budgeting of items to what the actual is. There's a few items in here where the budget is $2,500, what the actual spent is $12,000 to $15,000 on something, some things that are quite locked in on what the cost should be. So, like what Councillor Welke said, in instances like that where there's that big of a discrepancy between what was budgeted and what actually occurred, we need an explanation provided.
Through your worship, absolutely.
Counselor Lambert?
This isn't a question directly related to this, but it can tie into there, just considering, I want to recommend, not direct, but recommend that we have some department heads, I know because of our vacancies within, senior administration, if we can have senior staff here that are in charge of those departments, because, I mean, Roy might not have been here, but Romer worked on this too, and to have him here, I'm sure could have answered a lot of the questions that we had tonight. And, there's other departments too that are missing like direct senior management, and I think it's important to have them here so that council can ask questions.
Through your worship, the directors are present and they present their budgets, and then if they feel like they need to bring someone else in, they will do so. But the directors work and put the budget together, so they usually present and respond to questions, any questions that council may have.
And that's my issue, is that we have 3 vacant director positions. So how do those directors create this report if they aren't there?
Through your worship, I created the budgets for these vacant positions, and then I will be answering questions once we have reliable numbers, and then I can, yeah.
Okay, that doesn't answer me what I was saying, but that's okay.
Sorry, I guess one final comment. It appears that a lot of the budget numbers have been decreased, which is always a good thing, but I'm just wondering, in the preparation of this, staffing, wages is a big component. Council has historically done cost of living, there's increases in grade as someone has met certain benchmarks, and I wasn't confident that that had been reflected throughout the budget, because the numbers are different than what I had anticipated that they would be. Again, not knowing the interworkings of every department, and that's one of the reasons why we've asked about the cost of consultants as opposed to directors. Like, I have no idea where we are on any of that budget stuff. I'm assuming that you're within the departmental budget because we haven't approved any surpluses, but just typically consultants are more expensive than employees. So I just was quite surprised that it didn't seem to reflect, even a cost of living increase for staff.
Through your worship, the budget, at the time that council requested the report, we got it out, but we will continue working on the staff wages and confirming that what we had in the budget correspond to the staffing levels now and then what we intend to hire. And HR was involved in that. I can turn it over to Barb and she can speak to it. All those amounts have been updated.
Through your worship, yes, we did take a look at the cost of living, and that number of 3% has been applied to the salaries and wages. We went one step further and went through the system, I can't remember which one it is, to identify and ensure that every position that was occupied was actually in the budget. So there's some crossover and some checking of positions. So, and to address your point, Deputy Mayor, yes, we did take a look at the increment levels as well.
But there's currently a number of vacant positions. Have those also been addressed?
The vacancies, yes, so long as there was a budgeted position and there was a body in it, or it was a budgeted position that remained vacant. Those were all under consideration and are in the budget.
Any other questions?
Sorry, last one, I guess.
You said that before.
I promise. So just so that the incoming council does have an idea, when is the budget going to be presented to council?
Through your worship, it is my hope at the next council meeting that I will have something ready and someone to present and be able to answer questions to council.
No. right, can we receive that for information? Deputy Mayor? All in favor? Carried. The next is correspondence for action, although it says correspondence for information. Library board, interest, I thought we couldn't accept these until after the org meeting.
So we submitted this prior to, actually just last week. So these are, we put out a call for new board members, for more board members, as we have a couple who are getting ready to step down at their end of their terms. So these, we received nine applicants in total to join our board. These were the 4 that we had openings for. So we're just going to accept this for information tonight until the next meeting. And then we can choose to accept or deny the 4 individuals on the
Yeah,
list.
the new council.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so can we accept these for information then, please?
I'll move for information.
Counselor Anderson, all in favor? Carried. Correspondence for information, Northwest Territories cost recovery. Can we accept that for information, please? Counselor Librion, all in favor? Carried. Do you have any questions? Yeah. Okay, all right. So we will now end.
Madam Mayor,
Yeah.
just before we recess into in camera, I believe we have one further matter. On behalf of the town and council, this is a small token of our appreciation for all of your years of service on council and as the mayor. You'll be missed, your wisdom and experience on council, and council wishes you nothing but the best in your future endeavors.
Well, thank you very much. It's a sad day, but the time has come, the walrus said. What about staff? You're all part of this team. Come on.
The council wanted to go.
Yeah.
Big smiles with blinking.
Thank you, council. Come on up. I'm gonna miss you guys too. Or gals. Alan, I guess you'll have to take a picture. Come on, Barb, you're part of this.
Lonnie, right to shot.
We all are.
Here, I'll just stand behind you.
Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, we're ready.
Cheese.
Cheese.
Thank you, Alan.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It's been a long time from my student to my co-team worker. And Josh too. He's earlier than he used to be though. So thank you, everybody. It's been my extreme pleasure to sit on council for 21 years and work with all the people I've worked with and be a public servant for the town. And I'll see you all around at the post office when it's not on strike again.
It's still open.
So can I have a motion to move in camera, please? Thank you, Councillor LeBrion. All in favor? Carried.
Break time.
Break time. Go get your snacks.